And after about 4 years on the road touring and, meeting so many different people around the world and whatever, you kind of get the sense that what everybody's looking for, what binds us all together in the end of the day and below all the layers is just, love and hope. We kind of decided, we made a conscious decision at one point in the van that our next album is going to be hopeful and it's going to be, for love, and it's going to be uplifting, because we live in such a saturated world right now where it's like you're bombarded with bad news all the time. And I think the last thing that people want out of the radio, out of the rock and roll, is more bad news. It's like, I know I don't want that. I want to be uplifted, and I want music to carry me to a higher place. So
a little escapism too, kind of.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was kind of the goal with this record, to make something more uplifting. And I think I'm happy with the result of it.
Well, you like to really play loud. What was it? I saw one of your clips that you were like, did you blow up a few speakers recording the new album?
The bass. Yeah, that's a reoccurring event for me. Wherever I am, the amp usually dies.
His nickname is the Amp Slayer.
Yeah, and during our kind of rehearsals for the recording sessions at the warehouse, I guess Bob and the engineers over there kind of heard about the Amp Slayer was coming, so they rented every SVT Classic, which is the amp I like to use, in Vancouver, because they didn't want to lose any time. We had to do 6 songs in 4 days. So they just lined them up, and I broke them one after the other. And finally we got to the last song, and I was on my last amp.
There was a New Year's Eve bash that we blew one of the speakers.
Oh, it caught on fire.
On fire while we were playing. So yeah, I mean, we like it loud. You're right.
Do you all contribute to lyrics, or is it just one? Like, who does lyrics mostly?
Well, it's kind of me, Tom, and PY are the main lyricists, I would say. Tom, Dave, did you add lyrics from time to time?
A couple of words here and there, but it's mostly Tom and Leela. PY wrote Shot 'Em, pretty much was your song,
Yeah. Shot 'Em is PY's song. I mean, it's like we really call the band like the rehearsal space where everything gets churned together. It's like the machine, because like sometimes it's one lyric and sometimes it's a chorus, sometimes it's just a riff. There's no
ever shifting.
Yeah, there's no like, I'll write something, I'll come with lyrics, and then we'll go around it. It's never like that.
I think an interesting story in that regards is This Is Who We Are Now, the single that's out right now. I heard like the chorus of that song somewhere in Texas when we were on the road. I was driving, and it just came to me like while driving, and I heard the whole thing right away. This is who we are now. Now. And PY was sitting next to me, and I was like, take out your phone, record this on a voice memo, because it's going to be something. And whatever, we just kept going to the next town, whatever. We had that idea. When we got back to Montreal, we got back into our rehearsal space and, put the chords back together, and kind of Dave kind of came up with a cool drum beat, and PY with this crazy bass line. And then Leah walked into the studio, and there was a mic set up for her, but there was no lyrics for the verses. So she just kind of stepped out onto the mic, and she just kind of like improvised, freestyle the 2 verses, and basically what you hear on the record is, that's it. It's like the first take, first try of writing these lyrics. There was no deep thought process that went into it. She just felt it and she spat it out, and magic.
For the first month of COVID, we were in shock and we didn't know what to do, and then it was like, okay, we gotta keep making music, even though we can't meet, we can't be together in the same room. We put together songs we love, and we started doing that from home, and that kind of took off on its own with Give Me Shelter getting airplay around Canada, and then it pushed us to continue. And then it was like, okay, we can't go back to Vancouver because Bob can't leave Hawaii, and we can't actually leave Quebec, but we're going to finish the record. And then, okay, so we have to put it out because it's the time. It's been like so-and-so amount of time, and the label's saying to put out the record. So we'll put out the record. And it's like, and I guess, and just things have a way of working out, I think. But if you work towards them working out, you can't just sit and wait for things to happen to you. I really believe that. You can't just imagine like, okay, I believe that everything comes at a good time, and then not do anything and just wait for things to come like that. That won't work.
What have you guys been listening to lately? What's on your Spotify or whatever the heck you listen to? And did you discover any good new music?
It's funny, like, because I'm still like rediscovering music with Ben. Like every once in a while, I'll remember like an album that he doesn't know yet. So the other night I put Tracy Chapman's Matters of the Heart. I haven't heard that album in I don't know how long. Or the night before, I introduced him to Fiona Apple's first album, Title, which is an incredible record. And like he just loves it. And I'm like, it's so depressing and dark, but it's like a perfect like nighttime record, because sometimes he wants to listen to AC/DC when he goes to bed. I'm like, let's just calm it down so we can actually get to bed within an hour and not like jump off the walls. So it's fun. Like I rediscover a lot of stuff. New stuff that I've been hearing. Well, I actually really like the Paul McCartney album. Like I haven't heard the one where everyone else recovers it, but the one I think it was 2 he called it, or 3. Okay, but the one where it's all his versions, that he's singing all those songs. I love it. I listen to it while taking walks around the neighborhood. It's
the Foo Fighters' new album is good. Also, Royal Blood's new album is pretty cool. Yeah, and,
I haven't heard the whole album yet.
Yeah, some good.
Yeah, Foo Fighters I like. I listen to them. Yeah, that's a good album.
Tom, what was the moment in your life? Like, what was that one moment when you realized you saw like some rock band, or you saw a musician, or you saw somebody and you thought, this is what I'm going to do. Like, this is who I am now. One of those moments.
Well, I know that moment very clearly. It was really my older brother that listened to a lot of hard rock and punk, Iron Maiden, whatever. And he used to blast that stuff in his bedroom, and he would never let me in. So I would have to sit next to his door, and try to catch as much as I can through the door or whatever. And I loved that. But it was only when I was 9 and I heard Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven, and I was like, okay. This is it, this is for me, it's like, that's my parents, that's my brothers, this is mine, and I knew that's, I couldn't get close enough to that music. I had to get a guitar, and I had to like learn how to play it so I could really feel it in my skin, because I couldn't like, whatever I did, I couldn't get close enough to it. I would sit there with like the speaker in my ear or whatever, it wouldn't be close enough. So.
For me, like, I guess the moment of deciding that, all I want to do is perform and play music. I remember I was in 9th grade, and it was the talent show night or whatever, and I went to Face, the high school in downtown, and it's a beautiful auditorium there. I remember I sang an REM song. I sang "Everybody Hurts," and I just remember the moment where. Like I remember singing it. I remember everything about like performing it, because it was just me and my acoustic guitar, and like it's like high school, band night. So there wasn't much in terms of people with their own, because we're all musicians. Everybody plays instruments, so it was more like dancing or lip syncing or they were doing like fashion. It was like because everybody can sing. You're in a music school. Everybody can sing. Everybody can play an instrument. So you're not special if you're up there playing with your guitar. But I do remember that when I finished, like the roar that happened in this old auditorium, like everybody was on their feet there, I remember I was taken aback. Like I couldn't, it was really, really incredible. Like how much noise the auditorium suddenly erupted into. And I think that was the moment where I was like, okay, I like this. I think I could get used to this.
For me, I was kind of brought up more in a sports kind of community, but music always made me feel amazing. And it's what I would listen to when working out. And like in my head as a child, I thought it was going to be, the NHL career. But I remember a moment when we came to the city, and I was at my uncle's place, and I found his stash of VHS tapes. And he's a huge rock and roll fan. So he had like the Alice Coopers and the Ozzy Osbourne. But I remember I popped in a Kiss tape, and it opens up with Paul Stanley opening the door in a robe, and there's just girls everywhere, nice cars, and like, and it cuts to the show. I remember that was the catalyst that flicked the switch. And then after I got home from that vacation, it was like, I'm quitting the team. Everybody's like, what? How can you quit the team? What are you going to do? And I was like, don't worry about it.
Okay, so like you were envisioning that lifestyle, like that Motley Crue movie. Did you see the Motley Crue film?
Oh, of course. I read that book many years before the movie came out. The book is way better, by the way. But I was still in the band before then. And I remember the first time I played the bass, because I was always playing guitar. and then there was like the professional musician in the band played the bass, the teacher. It was at a youth center. And there's just too many guitars, and he just let me sit on the bass. He passed me the bass, and we played "Hard as a Rock" by AC/DC. And I remember just thumping. The line in that song is literally just a pedal on the beat, bum 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 bum. But I remember 2 minutes in, I was like, oh fuck, this feels so good. And I didn't even move my finger once. And I was like, oh, feel it in my balls. And then after that, saw the Kiss tape, and it was like, switch.
So I have an older brother, and when I was a kid, I was like tag along, so he would do anything that he possibly could to kind of like shake me off, 7 years difference. So it's like he's a teenager, I'm still like a child basically. So when I'd probably say around 6 years old, it was a Sunday afternoon, we were sitting at my grandparents' house, and he wanted to like have a friend and something like that. He put me in front of the TV, and on Music Plus, the song remains the same. Rockumentary concert kind of like Led Zeppelin thing came on. So at a certain point, it's the John Bonham montage where he plays Moby Dick, the drum solo, and he drives his kind of like dragster down the dirt road, and there's just this crazy montage of like crazy drum solo. It's getting crazier and crazier, and he's ripping down the road. And something just happened in my brain, I don't know why, but I remember it like super well. And I remember my brother sitting me down and saying, sit down, watch, this is really important. And then him disappearing, I don't know if he was playing a trick on me or whatever, but there was a moment there where when I saw that, it was like I saw the future, And then, as the kind of weeks and months went by, I started to pay more attention to whenever like music came around. Like my neighbor, he was the hippie, and I would hang out with his daughter. But when I would go hang out with his daughter, I would always sneak away into his like little atelier where he had instruments and drums and stuff. And like he gave me my first kind of like pieces of drums. I would make my grandfather make me drums out of like the butter cookie tins. He would like wrap saran wrap around the butter cookie tins and make me a drum kit. And then, years later, I actually got a drum kit because of my brother. But it was that song remains the same moment that still like remains some sort of a turning point, I think, in my mind,